Ever wonder how a company actually decides what to charge for something? Well, it all starts with a question that's way trickier than it sounds. What did it really cost to make? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the different techniques businesses use to nail down that all-important number. I mean, think about it for a second. The way you track the cost of a gigantic, one-of-a-kind ship has to be completely different from how you track the cost of a million identical candy bars rolling off an assembly line, right? This one problem, this core dilemma, is really the key to understanding all the costing techniques we're about to get into. So, right out of the gate, a business has to make a choice. It's a classic trade-off. Do you wait until all the bills are in to get the perfectly accurate numbers, or do you use a smart estimate to get a really good number, like right now? It's really a battle between perfect accuracy and practical speed. Okay, so let's look at the two basic approaches. On one hand, you've got actual costing. And yeah, it's the most accurate because you're using all the real, final numbers. But the big downside, it's slow. Plus, if your production levels bounce around, your cost per item can swing like crazy, which makes planning a nightmare. On the other hand, you have normal costing, which gives you a faster, much more stable answer because it uses budgeted estimates for some of the trickier costs. So you can think of normal costing as a kind of a hybrid, a practical middle ground. It takes the actual, real costs for the stuff that's easy to track, like the raw materials and the hours people worked. But for all that other overhead stuff, we're talking the factory's electric bill, the rent, insurance, it applies those costs using a predetermined budgeted rate. This gives managers a stable, timely cost number they can actually work with day to day. All right, so you've decided on your approach, actual or estimated numbers. What's next? Well, now you need a system to actually collect and organize those numbers. And this choice, it depends entirely on what it is you're making. Remember our custom-built ship from the beginning? That's the perfect example of a job. For that, you'd use a system called job order costing. Literally every single cost, from the steel plates to the welder's paycheck to the paint, gets attached directly to that one specific ship. It's the go-to system for any kind of unique, custom project. And what about our million candy bars? That's where process costing comes in. Look, it would be absolutely impossible to track the cost of every single little candy bar. So instead, you attach costs to an entire department or a whole phase of production, like, say, the mixing department or the wrapping department. Then you just average that cost out over all the identical candy bars that went through. So let's just put these side by side to make it super clear. Is your product one of a kind? You're using job order. Is it uniform and made in huge batches? That's process costing. Are you focused on the cost of a specific job or an entire department? This single choice shapes how your entire company thinks about and organizes its costs. Now, just averaging out costs can lead to a really big problem, and it has a fantastic name: peanut butter costing. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's when you just spread costs evenly across all your different products, like spreading peanut butter on bread, even when some of those products use way, way more resources than others. And that kind of distortion can lead you to make some seriously bad business decisions. The cure for peanut butter costing is a much more surgical approach called activity-based costing, or ABC for short. It's a really smart two-step process. First, you figure out the costs of specific activities, things like setting up a machine or doing a quality inspection. Then, and this is the key part, you only assign those activity costs to the products that actually use those activities. No more inaccurate, lazy spreading. But wait, a product's cost doesn't just start and end at the factory door, right? Lifecycle costing gets this. It looks at the entire picture. It includes all the upstream costs, like research and design, that happen before production, and it includes all the downstream costs, like marketing and customer service, that happen after. The point is, the true cost of a product is the total cost over its entire life. Okay, so we figured out how to calculate a product's cost in a bunch of different ways. But knowing the number is just step one. The real power, the real magic, comes from using that information to actually manage and control the business. And that is where standard costing comes into play. See, this isn't just an average of what things cost in the past. No, this is a carefully engineered benchmark. It's a target for what a cost should be if you're operating efficiently. It's a goal to aim for, and that gives management an incredibly powerful tool for control. So how do you actually use that standard? You use it with something called flexible budgeting. You compare your actual results not just to your original static plan, but to a flexible budget that shows what you should have spent for the number of units you actually made. And those differences, the gaps between your plan and reality, those are called variances. Finding and analyzing those variances, whether they're good or bad, is the absolute key to control.
And all that analysis leads to a really smart management principle: management by exception. The idea is simple. Instead of getting lost in every tiny detail, managers can focus their precious time and energy only on the things that are significantly different from the plan, the big variances that really need their attention.
So, this practice lets managers focus their attention on what exactly? It lets them zero in on the areas that have deviated the most from what they expected. It's all about putting your attention where it's going to make the biggest impact. So, after going through all of this, from job order to ABC to standard costing, which system is the best one? Well, that question brings us to what might be the single most important takeaway of this whole explainer. The truth is, there is no single best technique. It's all about picking the right tool for the right job. Choosing a costing system is a huge strategic decision. A company building ships needs totally different information than a company making candy. It all comes down to what you make, how you make it, and what your goals are. So I'll leave you with this final thought. The next time you see a price tag on anything, a cup of coffee, a new phone, a car, maybe you'll pause for a second and think about the incredible journey that single number took to get there. All the complex calculations, the estimations, and the strategy that had to happen. Thanks for joining me.